No complaints.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. I would like to call the meeting to order. I'm Chris Lee, Chair of the City County Planning Board. Welcome everyone to the December 12th meeting. Would you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Today's meeting is being broadcast live on TV 13 and will be rebroadcast at 10 a.m. Friday morning and again at 4 p.m. Sunday afternoon. Our first order of business today will be the consent agenda. These are items of which the petitioner is requesting withdrawal or continuance, or items for which staff has recommended approval and no one has signed up to speak in opposition. For public hearings today, each side will have a total of 12 minutes. There will be no rebuttal period. Once the public hearing is closed and the board goes into work session, no one is permitted to speak unless a planning board member addresses them for a question. For general use district zoning requests, the planning board must consider the full range of uses allowed in the zoning district being requested. The petitioner may not refer to a specific use for the property. For special use district zoning requests, however, the petitioner must identify the intended use or uses of the site and give specific details on how the site will be developed. Items under Section B of the agenda will require final action by the appropriate elected body, either the City Council or County Commissioners. As such, votes taken by the Planning Board concerning these items are recommendations that will be considered by the elected bodies during their review of the request. Before addressing the Planning Board today, we will need your name, address, and zip code for the record. Our first item of business is the approval of the minutes of the November 14th meetings. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Motion by Mr. Lamb, second by Mr. Grubbs. Any discussion? All those in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye opposes. That is unanimous. Now call on Mr. Mark Allred to review the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So first up is items B1, B2, and C2. These have been automatically continued to the January 9th, 2025 meeting. So the first item we will discuss is item B2. This is case W3636. The applicant is App Winston-Salem Limited Partnership, also known as AMC Theater Outparcel, and this is a site plan amendment. The petitioner is proposing to amend the previously approved site plan, which was W2053. The aerial shows that this site is, you can see the AMC Theater right here, and this is an existing parking area for it. The area plan recommends this for commercial. So first up we have is the amendment aims to create an additional building that you see here in yellow. This is in the existing parking lot. The new building will be 12,600 square feet, with the retail building being 800 square feet, the restaurant 4,000, and there's like 600 square feet for outdoor dining. So what you have here is the site plan proposes to retain both existing access points on Kester Mill Road. However, there are strong recommendations from engineering and Winston-Salem DOT to close the driveway on Kester Mill Road adjacent to the Haynes Mall Kester Mill Road intersection that you see here. There are traffic conflicts. Their concerns are that the restaurant with the drive-through will be a high traffic generating use. This will increase the daily trips from 453 to 3,172 trips per day. The additional trips generated by the new development could aggravate these conflicts. There will be new internal sidewalks that will connect to the existing sidewalks here to at the Haynes Mall Boulevard Kester Mill Road intersection. And there is a transit stop over here where Walmart and Kester Mill intersection are at. The rest of the site plan does meet UDO requirements, including impervious surface and parking. The proposed elevations complies with the approved materials for a retail store. And so this request would redevelop an underutilized property within the serviceable land area in accordance with Forward 2045. The proposed site plan amendment aligns with the Southwest Suburban Area Plan Update recommendation for commercial development. And the easternmost access point from the site on the Kester Mill Road has the potential to cause conflicts, but planning staff does recommend approval for this request. And the site plan does meet UDO requirements.
Are there any questions for staff?
Yes, please.
Is your recommendation for approval contingent upon the closing of the second driveway?
No.
So, Mr. Steelman, just to clarify, staff's recommending approval regardless. We did just want to share the concerns with the board that were brought up by our interdepartmental partners in Winston-Salem DOT and engineering, but there's a recognition that this driveway exists. The site plan would probably function better from a traffic and vehicular safety perspective without it, but again, if the board wanted to have any further discussion, that's up to you all.
Mr. Stillman, did that address your question?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for staff? All right. Thank you. No one has signed up. Is anyone here opposed to this recommendation? Seeing no one, I declare the public hearing closed. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move the planning board find that the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Motion by Mr. Lamb.
Second.
Second by Mr. Groves. Any discussion? All those in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. That is unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I further move the planning board recommend approval of W 3636.
Motion by Mr. Lamb.
Second.
Second by Mr. Groves. Any discussion? All those in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. That is unanimous.
Next up we have is item B4. This is case W3638, the applicant, City of Winston-Salem. This is the Mount Hope Estates conversion from County RS9 to City RS9. So Mount Hope Estates was approved in 2004 as a planned residential development. The owners want the portion of the subdivision that you see here in yellow to have city services and city maintenance. The annexation of this property will take place in January of 2025. You can see from the aerial that they've already begun grading of this site. You can see the road as it's being put in with lots. The South Suburban Area Plan recommends single-family residential, and staff recommends approval.
Any questions for staff?
So this has not yet been annexed into the city? Correct. What we do now, so that we don't forget to do these, because we have in the past, is anytime we get an annexation petitions used to live outside of our department. About 4 or 5 years ago, we took them over. And when we took them over, we decided to try to make the process more streamlined and predictable. And so what we do is when we get one of these petitions and it is in the process of going through, we go ahead and begin the conversion process so that everything times up for the same meeting that the city council will make the decision on annexation, that the zoning conversion would be the next item on the agenda. If for some reason the city council did not annex the property, then we would just withdraw the request because it would be moot. But I've never known the city not to approve an annexation request. So it will get annexed on the, assuming that the city does do it, it will get annexed on the 21st as, let's say, item 1 on the agenda, and item 2 would be the conversion, and the same thing for the next item. The next case. Makes sense. Thank you.
Any additional questions? All right. No one has signed up. Is anyone here opposed to this recommendation? Seeing no one, I declare the public hearing closed. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move the planning board find the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Motion by Mr. Lamb.
Second.
Second by Mr. Grubbs. Any discussion? All those in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. That is unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I further move the planning board recommend approval of W 3638.
Motion by Mr. Lamb. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Grubbs. Any discussion? All those in favor, sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? That is unanimous.
Next up is case item B5. This is case W3639. This is the Kershaw Commons conversion. Again, it's also a county RS9 rezoning to city RS9. You may remember this area was approved as a PRD known as Kershaw Commons in October of 2024, so it was just a couple months ago. As part of the condition was to be annexed into the city of Winston, as the only way in and out you can see here is through the city. You can see that the arrow has this as undeveloped, and the South Suburban Area Plan recommends single family, and staff recommends approval.
Any questions? All right, no one has signed up. Is anyone here opposed to this recommendation? Seeing no one, I declare the public hearing closed.
Mr. Chairman, I move the planning board find that the request is consistent with a comprehensive plan.
Motion by Mr. Lamb, second by Mr. Grubbs. Any discussion? All those in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Oppose the same sign. That is unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I further move the planning board recommend approval of W 3639.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lamb, second by Mr. Grubbs. Any discussion? All those in favor, sign of aye. Aye. Oppose the same sign. That is unanimous.
And next up is case C1. This is PBR 2024-09. This is Peters Creek Partners LLC is the petitioner. The development's called Peters Creek Crossing. This is an 82-lot PRD in RS9. The site plan will show two entrances, one from Peters Creek Parkway and one here from Fishel Road. The petitioner has worked with the adjacent developer to the east, whose subdivision was approved last month. So the partnership was resulted in matching grading, creating a through street that promises to improve traffic flow and connectivity between the two subdivisions. Looking forward into the future, there is a stub here that's looking at doing a connection to Oliver's Creek Crossing if development ever comes into there. The site plan does meet all US UDO requirements for a PRD. Staff does recommend approval for this.
Mr. Chairman, I move the planning board approve PBR 2024-09.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lamb, second by Mr. Grubbs. Any discussion? All those in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Oppose the same sign. That is unanimous.
All right, next is item C3. This is PBR 2024-13. This is, the applicant is Old Vineyard Development LLC, and the project is known as Poplar Forest at Old Vineyard. This is 120 apartment units in RM18. Site plan displays a 120-unit multifamily apartment development broken up into two phases. That's your phase line you see right here. Phase 1 to the east has two apartment buildings that are 3 stories each, and combined they're 60 units. This is for the general population. Development is also providing a community center you see here and a recreation area that has a gazebo and a picnic shelter. On phase 2, you have a 4-story building here that's also 60 units, but it's specific towards seniors. There is an enhanced buffer yard on Old Vineyard Road that helps with the aesthetics, as you have an apartment building that's abuts up to Old Vineyard Road, and you have 2 access points. This development does meet all UDO standards, and staff does recommend approval.
Mr. Chairman, I move the planning board approve PBR 2024-13.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lamb, second by Mr. Grubbs. Any discussion? All those in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. That is unanimous.
Oh, my fault, guys. I did miss over the elevations here, but this is your elevations that are coming with the development. So building 1 is on the Old Vineyard Road there. So next up I've got is item C4. This is PBR 2024-14. This is Scales Farm. This is 64-lot PRD in AG. The site plan demonstrates a conservation approach to a PRD, balancing appropriate housing density with ample open space. The petitioner is utilizing an open space density bonus, which is anything over 60% open space. He's providing 64.58%. The petitioner is also asking for an alternative compliance for sidewalks. They're doing a 5-foot wide all-weather stone path between the swell and the housing. You see here in this colors is representing the private sewer that you have off-site sewer septic tanks. So these colors are representing those private sewer lines. So all lots will be served by private sewer and private water. And again, this site is a good project that shows a conservation subdivision or PRD in action. So staff does recommend approval.
One question. Are we going to make that typical that we allow to substitute for sidewalk? I'm not opposed to it at all. I think it's a great idea.
There's an issue that we probably long-term need to solve with our ordinance in that PRDs, regardless of where they're located, require sidewalks. And in GMA 5 areas, you can do projects without curb and gutter. And so it's caused some problems with the PRD requiring sidewalks and not any way to really do them on a ribbon pavement section. So there is the out to do the alternative compliance which is what they have done in this case. Long term, I think we want to look and determine, since we don't require sidewalks in standard subdivisions, GMA 5, whether or not we want to change the requirement. And again, I'm not saying we are, but there's a recognition that we have a disconnect there when we're allowing ribbon paved streets, but the PRD requires sidewalks. You can't really do them. So that's why they're doing alternative compliance.
Okay, and a second question, what's the bonus? What's the density bonus now? I can't remember.
I'm not sure what they're actually taking advantage of, but if you do more, you get additional density. I'm just not sure how much.
So that's actually, Mr. Lamb, that's something that was put in the ordinance back in 2007, 2008, actually at the same time. This alternative compliance provision went in, and this is the first project that's ever utilized that. It's 20% density bonus.
20%. Okay, that's great. Super. Sorry. Go ahead. No.
Can you repeat what you said, the alternative compliance? What is the sidewalk?
5 foot wide, all-weather stone path.
Okay.
A swale is it's a ditch. It's between the ditch
Right.
and the house, so it's
Okay.
going somewhere in that. Usually right on the other side of the swale, but
Right, yeah, closer to the house.
Does that count as
Usually.
impervious surface?
yes. Well, I'm not sure about that, to be honest with you.
It likely would, but however, they're preserving so much open space, the aggregate built upon area is going to be so low, I would imagine NCDOQ is going to let them out of stormwater requirements.
Good.
And that's on one side of the street.
Correct, so it meets the other provisions for the pedestrian interconnectivity.
Okay.
Just for grants, is there any maintenance requirement of a pea gravel drive? Okay, all right. Okay.
I want to see what it looks like.
I was going to see if there's a
installed.
picture.
Looks like
Yeah,
in
find
front of a old English.
Right, yeah.
house. So, all right, I move the planning board approve PBR 2024-14.
Motion by Mr. Lamb, second by Mr. Grubbs. Any discussion? All those in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposition? That is unanimous. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Chairman of the board, that is the end of the agenda, except for staff report. I have just a couple of items. First of all, I'll turn to Brian, who will give you a preview of your January 2025 zoning cases. Probably a few more than what you had today, but I will let Brian go into that.
Chairman, members of the board, we'll be a little bit busier in January, so we've got 5 rezonings, including the continuance, 1 site plan amendment, a final development plan that was one of your continued cases tonight, and then 3 planning board reviews, including the continuance. So it will be a busy January. Everybody's still wanting to develop in Forsyth County, so we're happy to have it.
Thank you, Brian. Mr. Chairman and board, the only other 2 things I have is at your place, I placed a QR code piece of paper for the Winston-Salem urban area MPO. It's a survey. They're in the process of beginning the new comprehensive transportation plan. So we're just trying to get the word out. If you want to take that, if you want to share it with any of your groups, we can send you the email, but I did want to make sure I brought that to you today. The only other thing I have is I just want to wish everyone a happy holidays. And again, thank you all for your service. If you didn't get the opportunity, I'm not sure if there's any food out still downstairs, but if you didn't get the chance to stop in beforehand, stop in afterwards to get some food down there real quick. But again, just wanted to thank you for everything that you do for us. So.
Would you mind introducing our intern or whoever?
I'm sorry, I neglected to do that. I will turn to Kirk because I believe Kirk has been with him probably more than anyone today.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've got Jaden Felton. Jaden, if you'd like to stand, just so the board members who didn't get to meet you can see you. But Jaden is a sophomore at Winston-Salem State University. He's majoring in political science, but he has a long-standing interest in planning and the development field. So he's actually shadowing with Carol Davis and the Enterprise Center, S.G. Atkins, all the things that she oversees. And we kind of talked about finding opportunities for him to have some experience working with us as he pursues his education. So we brought him over today because it was a good day filled with lots of activities. But Jaden, thank you again for coming over.
Welcome, Jaden.
And for those that don't know, we actually have a current employee who shadowed us at one point. Ellie did a couple years ago. So we're hopeful that maybe that can lead to the same conclusion once a couple more years of college have gone down the road, and he's interested. So
It's a good sign.
yeah, definitely. Mr. Chairman, with that, I am finished. But thank you for reminding me of that.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order?
Well, just another motion to
Adjourn.
adjourn. I didn't get my food.